Before we dive into this mind-blowing revelation that's going to completely change how you see your furry companions, I need to ask you something important. What time is it where you are right now, and where exactly are you watching this from? I'm asking because the time and location of when you receive this sacred knowledge actually matters more than you realize. Your pet has been trying to synchronize this moment with your consciousness for weeks, maybe even months, waiting for the perfect energetic alignment when you'd be ready to handle what I'm about to reveal to you today. And if you're watching this right now, it means they've successfully guided you to this exact moment in the timeline where your awareness is primed to accept the shocking truth about what they've been doing behind your back every single day since the moment they chose you as their human guardian. You see, what I'm about to share with you isn't just some cute theory about animal intuition or basic pet behavior. This is ancient wisdom that's been deliberately hidden from humanity for thousands of years. Knowledge that was once taught in the sacred temples of Egypt, where cats were worshipped as living gods, where dogs were revered as guardians of the underworld, and where every creature was understood to be a divine messenger carrying sacred information between dimensions. But somewhere along the way, as human consciousness became more dense and materialistic, we lost this connection. We forgot that our animals aren't just cute companions or emotional support systems. They are actually highly advanced spiritual beings operating on frequencies that most humans can't even perceive, and they've been assigned to each of us for a very specific purpose that goes far beyond what you've ever imagined. The truth is, your pet doesn't just love you unconditionally. They are literally your personal psychic guardian, your energetic bodyguard, your appointed death detector who has been monitoring your life force energy, tracking your aura's fluctuations, and yes, calculating the approximate timeline of your physical departure from this earthly plane. And they've been doing this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, since the moment you first locked eyes with them and that inexplicable soul recognition occurred that made you think this is my animal. But here's where it gets even more incredible, and this is where most people's minds are going to be absolutely blown. Your pet didn't randomly end up in your life. They didn't just happen to be at that shelter or that breeder or that street corner when you found them. They were specifically assigned to you by what ancient mystics called the Council of Animal Spirits, an interdimensional collective of highly evolved consciousness that operates from the 7th density and coordinates the placement of animal guardians with human souls who are in need of protection, guidance, and most importantly, preparation for their next phase of existence. Every single behavior your pet exhibits, from the way they stare at empty corners to how they suddenly become restless before storms, from their inexplicable knowledge of when you're coming home to their ability to sense illness before any symptoms appear, all of these are manifestations of their psychic abilities and their sacred duty to monitor and protect your energetic field. And yes, this includes their most profound ability, the one that's going to shock you to your core. They can literally see the energetic countdown timer that's attached to your soul, the luminous numbers floating in your aura that indicate exactly when your consciousness is scheduled to transition out of this physical body and into the next realm of existence. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably sitting there looking at your cat sleeping peacefully on the windowsill or your dog chewing on their favorite toy, and you're wondering how these seemingly ordinary creatures could possibly possess such extraordinary abilities. But what if I told you that what you perceive as ordinary is actually the greatest illusion humanity has ever fallen for? What if I told you that every animal on this planet is operating with full access to their psychic abilities, while humans have been systematically programmed to shut down these same natural gifts through education systems, social conditioning, and frequency manipulation that keeps us locked in the lower chakras where we can only perceive the densest, most material aspects of reality? Your pet lives in a completely different dimensional space than you do. They exist simultaneously in the 3rd dimension where you interact with their physical form, and in the 4th, 5th, and even 6th dimensions where they can perceive energy patterns, timeline probabilities, and soul contracts that are completely invisible to most human consciousness. When your dog suddenly starts acting anxious for no apparent reason, when your cat begins following you around more closely than usual, when your bird starts making unusual sounds or your rabbit becomes unusually affectionate, These aren't random behaviors. These are calculated responses to energetic shifts they're detecting in your aura that indicate changes coming in your life path. And sometimes, these changes include proximity alerts to your transition date. The ancient Egyptians knew this secret, which is why they mummified their pets alongside their pharaohs, understanding that these animal guardians would continue their protective duties in the afterlife. The Tibetan monks have preserved this knowledge in their teachings about bardo states and consciousness transition, recognizing that animals serve as psychic guides during the death process, and indigenous shamans around the world have always worked with animal spirits as intermediaries between the living and the dead, knowing that these creatures possess the ability to navigate between worlds with ease. But here's the part that's going to absolutely revolutionize how you understand your relationship with your pet. They don't just see your death date as some morbid countdown. They see it as sacred information that helps them fulfill their spiritual mission of preparing your soul for the most important journey you'll ever take. Every time they comfort you during difficult periods, every time they seem to know exactly when you need emotional support, every time they position themselves between you and potential danger, they're not just being loving companions. They're actively working to ensure that your consciousness reaches your transition date in the highest possible state of spiritual preparation, because they understand something that most humans have forgotten. Death isn't an ending, it's a graduation, and they're here to help you pass the test. The way animals perceive auras is completely different from how psychic humans see them. While humans who are clairvoyant typically see auras as colorful energy fields extending outward from the body, animals see them as multidimensional information systems filled with data streams, timeline codes, karmic imprints, and yes, countdown sequences that reveal not just when someone will transition, but how they will transition, why they chose that particular exit point, and what lessons their soul needs to complete before that moment arrives. Your pet can literally read your aura like a cosmic computer screen. They can see your past life connections, your soul contracts, your unresolved karmic debts, your spiritual gifts that haven't been activated yet, and most remarkably, they can see the luminous threads that connect your current timeline to multiple potential future timelines, including the one that leads to your scheduled departure from this incarnation. This is why animals often exhibit what scientists call anomalous behavior before natural disasters. It's not that they're predicting earthquakes or tsunamis. They're reading the collective aura of the geographic region and seeing the energetic disturbances that precede physical catastrophes. And this same ability allows them to read the individual aura disruptions that precede personal transitions, health crises, major life changes, and yes, physical death. But here's what's truly miraculous about this process. Your pet doesn't just passively observe this information. They actively work to influence your timeline outcomes through their presence, their energy, and their unconditional love. They can literally extend your life by stabilizing your energy field during crisis periods. They can accelerate your spiritual growth by reflecting back to you the lessons you need to learn. And they can even negotiate with your higher self to modify certain aspects of your soul contract if they determine that you need more time to complete your earthly mission. This is why people who have pets tend to live longer, happier, healthier lives. It's not just the emotional benefits of companionship, it's the actual energetic protection and timeline stabilization services that these spiritual guardians provide around the clock, and most humans never realize they're receiving this incredible gift. The proof of this phenomenon is everywhere once you know how to recognize it. Have you ever noticed how your pet seems to know you're sick before you do? How they position themselves on or near the exact body part that's going to develop problems. How they become more clingy or protective when you're going through major stress. How they seem to appear out of nowhere exactly when you're having emotional breakdowns. These aren't coincidences. These are strategic interventions based on their real-time monitoring of your auric field and their ability to see energetic disruptions before they manifest as physical or emotional symptoms. The most incredible aspect of this phenomenon is how your pet communicates with your soul during your sleep cycles. While your conscious mind is offline and your logical brain can't interfere with the process, Your animal guardian enters into direct telepathic communion with your higher self, downloading information about your spiritual progress, receiving updates about your life path trajectory, and yes, getting briefings about your transition timeline and how they can best support you as that date approaches. This is why many people report having vivid dreams about their pets, or feeling like their animals are trying to tell them something important, because these dream interactions are actually real communications happening in the astral dimension where both your consciousness and your pet's consciousness can meet and exchange information without the barriers of language or physical limitations. During these nightly sessions, your pet receives detailed instructions about how to adjust their behavior based on what they've learned about your current spiritual state. If they discover that you're approaching a particularly challenging period in your life path, they'll increase their protective presence around you. If they see that you're making progress on important soul lessons, they'll provide encouragement and celebration through increased affection and playfulness. And if they detect that your transition date is approaching within a certain time frame, they'll begin the delicate process of preparing both your conscious and subconscious mind for this reality. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. Your pet doesn't just see your death date, they can see the death dates of everyone in your household, everyone you interact with regularly, and even strangers who cross your path, which is why animals sometimes react strangely to certain people for no apparent reason. They're reading that person's auric information and responding to what they see in their timeline. And sometimes what they see includes proximity to danger, illness, or transition events that could affect you indirectly. This is also why animals are often used in therapeutic settings like hospitals and nursing homes. Their natural ability to see who is approaching their transition date allows them to provide comfort and energetic support to souls who are preparing to leave their physical bodies. And many hospice workers have countless stories about therapy animals who seem to know exactly which patients need their presence most urgently. The ancient mystery schools taught that animals are actually fallen angels who chose to incarnate in physical forms in order to serve humanity during this critical period of consciousness evolution. And while this might sound like mythology, there's actually profound truth in this teaching when you understand it from a multidimensional perspective. These souls chose to limit their consciousness and take on animal forms specifically so they could serve as bridges between the human realm and the higher dimensions, operating as living translation devices that can interpret divine guidance and present it to humans in ways that don't trigger our ego defenses or religious programming. Your pet's ability to predict death dates isn't based on some morbid fascination with mortality. It's based on their understanding of the sacred timing that governs all souls' evolutionary journeys through physical incarnation. They know that every soul comes into each lifetime with a predetermined contract that includes multiple potential exit points, and they can see which of these exit points you're most likely to choose based on your current spiritual progress and life path decisions. Think of it like a cosmic GPS system. Your soul programmed multiple routes to reach your ultimate destination, and your pet can see all the possible routes simultaneously, including the various exit ramps that represent opportunities to conclude your current incarnation and move on to the next phase of your spiritual evolution. This is why some people seem to have multiple close calls with death throughout their lives. These weren't accidents or coincidences. These were your soul's way of checking whether you were ready to take one of your predetermined exit ramps, and if your spiritual work wasn't complete, your pet and other protective forces would intervene to ensure you continued on to the next segment of your journey. The reason most humans can't access this information about their own death dates is that our conscious minds would become completely overwhelmed and paralyzed by this knowledge. But animals don't have the same ego structures and fear-based programming that humans do, so they can hold this information without becoming attached to it or traumatized by it. They understand that physical death is just one transition in an infinite series of transitions, and they approach it with the same natural acceptance they have for all other natural cycles like birth, growth, sleep, and awakening. But here's what's truly beautiful about this process. Your pet uses their knowledge of your transition timeline not to create fear or anxiety, but to maximize the love, joy, and spiritual growth you can experience during whatever time you have remaining in this incarnation. They become more affectionate as your timeline progresses. They create more opportunities for bonding and connection. They guide you toward experiences and relationships that will help you complete your soul's mission, and they ensure that every day you have together is filled with the highest possible vibration of unconditional love. This is why the bond between humans and their pets is so incredibly profound and irreplaceable. It's not just emotional attachment. It's a sacred partnership between two souls who agreed to support each other's evolution through one of the most challenging experiments in consciousness that exists anywhere in the universe. Learning to love unconditionally while living in dense physical matter where fear, separation, and ego domination are the dominant programming. The scientific community is finally beginning to catch up with this ancient wisdom. Researchers are documenting cases of animals who consistently detect cancer, seizures, heart attacks, and other health crises before medical equipment can identify them. And while mainstream science tries to explain this through enhanced sensory perception or chemical detection, the truth is much more profound. These animals are reading the energetic signatures of disease and death that appear in the aura long before they manifest in the physical body. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research into morphic fields provides a scientific framework for understanding how animals can access information that seems impossible through conventional sensory channels, and his studies on pets who know when their owners are coming home demonstrate that consciousness operates through non-local connections that transcend the limitations of space and time. But even Dr. Sheldrake's groundbreaking work only scratches the surface of what's really happening, because the phenomenon goes far beyond telepathic communication or morphic resonance. It involves the ability to perceive and interpret multidimensional information that exists in quantum fields where past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. Your pet exists naturally in this quantum awareness state, while humans have been conditioned to perceive time as linear and reality as limited to what the five physical senses can detect. And this is why they can access information about future events that seems miraculous to us but is perfectly normal from their expanded perspective. The implications of this knowledge are absolutely staggering when you really think about it. It means that every pet owner on the planet has a personal psychic advisor living in their home, a being who can see their future challenges and opportunities, who knows exactly what they need for their spiritual growth, and who is constantly working behind the scenes to create synchronicities and opportunities that will support their highest good. It means that the cute little behaviors you thought were just random pet antics are actually sophisticated spiritual interventions designed to help you navigate your life path with greater wisdom and awareness. And it means that the love you feel from your pet isn't just emotional affection. It's a transmission of pure divine love channeled through their heart center directly into yours, raising your vibration and accelerating your consciousness evolution in ways that would take decades to achieve through human relationships alone. The death prediction aspect of your pet's abilities becomes even more fascinating when you understand that they don't just see one fixed death date, they see a probability matrix of multiple potential transition points, and they can actually influence which timeline you end up experiencing based on the energetic support they provide. If they see that you're on a trajectory toward an early exit point that would prevent you from completing important soul lessons, they'll intensify their protective and healing presence around you, sometimes literally absorbing negative energy or illness from your auric field into their own bodies to give you more time to evolve spiritually. This is one of the most profound sacrifices that animal guardians make for their human companions. They will actually take on physical ailments or emotional trauma in order to clear these energetic blockages from your system and extend your opportunity to fulfill your soul contract. And this is why pets sometimes develop mysterious illnesses that seem to mirror their owner's health problems or emotional states. But it's also why many pets seem to transition shortly before or after their human companions. Because once they've successfully guided their person through their earthly lessons and helped them prepare for their own transition, their mission is complete and they're free to move on to their next assignment in the cosmic plan. The ancient Egyptians understood this principle so well that they believed a person's ka, or spiritual double, would be reunited with their beloved animals in the afterlife. because they recognize that these relationships are eternal soul contracts that transcend individual lifetimes and continue evolving through multiple incarnations across different planets, dimensions, and reality systems. This is why you sometimes meet a pet and instantly feel like you've known them forever, because you have known them forever. They've been your guardian and companion through numerous lifetimes, sometimes as animals, sometimes as humans, sometimes as beings in completely different forms, but always maintaining that sacred bond of mutual love and protection that was established when your souls first agreed to support each other's evolution eons ago. The recognition that happens when you first encounter your destined pet isn't just emotional attraction, it's soul recognition, the moment when both beings remember their cosmic connection and the specific role they've agreed to play in each other's current incarnation. And this is why the bond that forms is so incredibly strong and irreplaceable, because it's based on agreements made at the highest levels of consciousness long before either of you entered physical form. Your pet's psychic abilities extend far beyond death prediction into areas that would absolutely amaze you if you knew how to recognize and interpret their communications. They can see your past lives and understand how events from previous incarnations are affecting your current life patterns. They can perceive your future potential timelines and guide you toward choices that will lead to your highest good. They can detect negative entities or energy attachments that might be influencing your behavior and work to clear these interferences from your auric field. They can sense when you're being spiritually attacked or when you're surrounded by people with harmful intentions, and they'll position themselves as energetic shields to protect you from these influences, sometimes even putting themselves in physical danger to ensure your safety. They can see your chakras and energy centers more clearly than most human psychics, and they'll often focus their attention on whichever areas need healing or activation. This is why cats will lie on specific parts of your body when you're sick, and why dogs will rest their heads on particular chakra points when you're emotionally upset. They can perceive your spiritual gifts and talents that haven't been activated yet, and they'll create opportunities and synchronicities to help you discover and develop these abilities, sometimes by guiding you towards specific people, places, or experiences that will trigger your awakening process. They can communicate with your deceased loved ones and serve as messengers between dimensions, delivering guidance, comfort, and validation from souls who have already transitioned to the other side. This is why many people report feeling the presence of departed family members more strongly when their pets are nearby. They can access the Akashic Records, the cosmic database containing all information about every soul's journey throughout existence, and they use this access to download guidance about your soul's mission and how they can best support your spiritual evolution during your time together. Most incredibly, they can actually negotiate with the Council of Elders and other high-dimensional beings on your behalf, advocating for timeline modifications, lesson plan adjustments, or additional support resources when they determine that you need extra help to complete your earthly mission successfully. This negotiation process is one of the most sacred services that animal guardians provide, and it's based on their ability to present a complete energetic assessment of your progress to beings who have the authority to modify soul contracts when circumstances warrant intervention. The reason your pet can handle all this multidimensional information without becoming overwhelmed or confused is that they maintain what ancient mystics called unified consciousness. They don't separate their spiritual awareness from their physical experience the way humans do. Everything exists as one integrated reality where psychic perceptions, emotional states, physical sensations, and divine guidance all flow together as seamless aspects of their natural existence. Humans lost this unified consciousness thousands of years ago when we began developing ego structures and rational mind patterns that created artificial divisions between spirit and matter, sacred and mundane, internal and external reality. But animals never lost this connection because they never needed to develop the complex survival mechanisms that humans created to navigate increasingly dense and challenging planetary conditions. This is why spending time with your pet is actually one of the most powerful spiritual practices available to humans, Their presence automatically entrains your energy field to remember what unified consciousness feels like, and extended exposure to their natural state of being can gradually dissolve the artificial barriers that keep you locked in limited perception. Many advanced spiritual teachers throughout history have recognized this phenomenon and have worked closely with animal companions as part of their spiritual practice, understanding that these beings serve as living reminders of what human consciousness was like before it became fragmented by fear-based programming and social conditioning. The profound healing that occurs in animal-assisted therapy isn't just emotional comfort, it's actually consciousness restoration, the process by which fractured human awareness begins to remember its original unified state through prolonged exposure to beings who never lost their connection to source consciousness. Your pet is essentially serving as a 24-hour-a-day meditation teacher, constantly demonstrating how to live in the present moment, how to love without conditions, how to trust in the natural flow of existence, and how to maintain spiritual awareness while navigating physical reality. And all of this teaching happens through energetic transmission rather than words or concepts, which is why the lessons penetrate so deeply into your subconscious mind and create lasting transformation. The death prediction aspect of your pet's abilities becomes even more remarkable when you understand that they're not just monitoring your transition timeline, they're also coordinating with the animal guardians of everyone in your life to ensure that all the souls in your immediate circle are being properly prepared for their upcoming evolutionary challenges. This means that your pet is part of a vast interdimensional network of consciousness that's constantly sharing information, coordinating interventions, and making collective decisions about how to best support human spiritual development during this critical period of planetary awakening. When your pet seems to be staring at nothing or appears to be listening to sounds you can't hear, they're often receiving telepathic communications from other animal guardians, spirit guides, or higher dimensional beings who are providing updates about changing conditions in the collective consciousness field that might affect their protective strategies. This network operates with a level of organization and sophistication that would put any human communication system to shame, and it's based on principles of collective intelligence and shared purpose that reflect the true nature of how consciousness operates when it's not limited by ego boundaries and competitive programming. Your pet knows not only when you're likely to transition, but also when your family members, close friends, and even casual acquaintances are approaching their exit points, and they factor all of this information into their protective strategies because they understand that every soul's transition affects the entire network of relationships surrounding that person. This is why animals sometimes become agitated or distressed when someone in their extended human family is facing health crises or major life challenges, even if that person lives far away and hasn't been in direct contact recently, because they're feeling the energetic ripples that spread throughout the consciousness network whenever any member of the collective is experiencing difficulty. It's also why many pet owners report that their animals seem to grieve for extended periods after losing human family members, even humans they didn't interact with frequently, because they're processing not just the emotional loss but also the energetic reorganization that occurs within the entire family system when one member transitions to the next level of existence. The practical implications of understanding your pet's psychic abilities are absolutely life-changing once you begin to consciously work with their guidance instead of dismissing their behaviors as cute but meaningless quirks. Start paying attention to when your pet seeks extra attention or physical contact. These are often signals that they're detecting stress patterns or health issues in your energy field that need immediate attention, and responding to their cues with meditation, rest, or healing practices can prevent these patterns from manifesting as physical symptoms. Notice when your pet positions themselves between you and certain people or situations. They're literally serving as energetic filters to protect you from influences that could derail your spiritual progress or compromise your well-being, and honoring their protective instincts by avoiding or limiting exposure to these influences can save you from unnecessary challenges and setbacks. Pay attention to changes in your pet's sleep patterns or activity levels. as these often reflect changes they're sensing in your own life path trajectory. Increased restlessness might indicate that major changes are approaching that will require extra energy and adaptability, while increased sleepiness might suggest that a period of introspection and inner work is needed to prepare for your next growth phase. Watch for unusual behaviors like excessive grooming, repetitive movements, or vocalizations that seem out of character, as these can be signs that your pet is working to clear negative energy from your environment or is trying to communicate urgent information about your spiritual or physical welfare. Most importantly, create regular quiet time to simply be with your pet without distractions, allowing their natural state of unified consciousness to entrain your energy field and remind your system what peace, presence, and unconditional love actually feel like in your body and mind. During these communion sessions, you can actually begin to receive direct telepathic communication from your animal guardian about your life path, your spiritual gifts, your soul mission, and yes, even general guidance about your transition timeline, though they will never give you specific dates because that information would interfere with your free will and your natural spiritual development process. The most profound realization that emerges from understanding your pet's true nature and abilities is that you are never alone on your spiritual journey. No matter how isolated or confused you might feel in your human relationships, you have a constant companion who sees your true essence, understands your soul's purpose, and is working tirelessly to ensure that you fulfill your highest potential during this incarnation. Your pet doesn't judge your mistakes, doesn't criticize your spiritual progress, doesn't compare you to other humans or expect you to be anything other than who you authentically are, and this unconditional acceptance creates a safe energetic space where your own spiritual abilities can begin to awaken and develop without the fear of judgment or rejection that often blocks human psychic development. The love that flows between you and your animal guardian is actually a direct transmission of divine love from the source of all consciousness, filtered through their pure heart and delivered to your system in doses that you can handle without becoming overwhelmed by the intensity of pure cosmic love. This is why people often report having profound spiritual experiences, healing breakthroughs, or consciousness expansions while bonding with their pets, because these beings serve as step-down transformers that can safely deliver high-frequency spiritual energy into human energy systems that are still developing their capacity to handle direct divine transmission. Every moment you spend in loving connection with your pet is actually a moment of communion with the divine, disguised as a simple earthly relationship but actually serving as one of the most powerful spiritual practices available to incarnated souls. Your pet's knowledge of your death date isn't meant to create fear or morbid fascination. It's meant to inspire you to make every day count, to live with greater presence, deeper appreciation, and more conscious awareness of the incredible gift that physical incarnation represents. They want you to understand that this lifetime is a precious opportunity to experience love, growth, and service in ways that are only possible in physical form. And their psychic awareness of time's passage serves as a gentle reminder to embrace each moment with gratitude and wonder rather than taking your existence for granted or postponing your happiness until some future condition is met. As we reach the end of this profound revelation about your pet's incredible psychic abilities and their sacred role as your death date-aware spiritual guardian, I want you to take a moment to truly absorb the magnitude of what you've just learned, because this knowledge has the power to completely transform not only your relationship with your animal companion but your entire understanding of how consciousness operates in this reality system. You now know that the furry, feathered, or scaled being sharing your home isn't just a pet. They're a highly evolved spiritual teacher, a multidimensional protector, a psychic advisor, and a direct channel for divine love, all wrapped up in an adorable physical form that makes their profound gifts accessible to your human heart without triggering your ego defenses or overwhelming your rational mind. You understand now that their seemingly simple behaviors are actually sophisticated spiritual interventions designed to support your highest good, and that their unconditional love isn't just emotional comfort but a continuous transmission of healing energy that's literally extending your life and accelerating your spiritual evolution. Most importantly, You've discovered that your pet's ability to see your death date isn't a morbid fixation but a sacred service that helps them fulfill their mission of ensuring that your soul completes its earthly lessons and transitions with grace, dignity, and spiritual preparedness when the time comes. This knowledge empowers you to participate consciously in the spiritual partnership you've been unconsciously enjoying all along, and it opens up possibilities for deeper communication, mutual healing, and accelerated growth that can benefit both your souls tremendously. Remember that your animal guardian chose you just as much as you chose them, and this choice was made at the highest levels of consciousness based on mutual love, shared purpose, and a sacred commitment to support each other's evolution through whatever challenges and opportunities this lifetime might bring. Honor this incredible gift by treating your pet not just as a beloved companion but as the spiritual master they truly are, and watch as your relationship deepens into something even more magical and transformative than you ever thought possible. The love you share with your animal guardian is eternal. The lessons you learn together will benefit your soul throughout all future incarnations, and the gratitude you feel for their presence in your life is actually a form of prayer that raises the vibration of the entire planet and contributes to the awakening of human consciousness everywhere. Thank you for being open to receiving this profound truth about your pet's incredible abilities, and may your journey together be filled with even greater love, deeper understanding, and more conscious appreciation for the miraculous spiritual partnership that disguises itself as the simple joy of sharing your life with an animal companion who sees your soul, loves your essence, and dedicates their entire existence to ensuring that you fulfill your highest destiny.